Okay, so Parasha's Pinchas. So it's an amazing thing. Number one is the fact that you see that Pinchas was Mekanes Kinasi for the Bnei Shalaylam. And really, Rashi, right at the end of the Parasha, of last Parasha, says that the way Pinchas killed them, it was nearer the car. Everybody could see already that they did what terrible things they did. The Faket, the way Pinchas killed them, showed the greatness of the act that Pinchas did and the evil that they were doing. And the next Rashi says, after Pinchas kills them, oh, the Shvatim and Mevasa Pinchas. Oh, this person, he comes from a father, ancestor who was fattened up of the Zara. How can they kill Nasi Shabi Israel? Rashi, you go, they were masking already, they saw. Now it flips the coin. No, how can you kill a Nasi Israel? That's unfortunately the way people are. They view things. You can see the MS, but then you want to flip things around until the Torah had to be made of Pinchas ben Elazar and Aaron HaKohen. He got these genes of Kinas Hashem from Aaron. That means Aaron himself would have done this act. The Torah has to testify about Pinchas. But Lamaisi, you see, one man, Pinchas changed the whole matzah. He took away the anger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol. And it's very interesting in the Parasha itself, you see, Dasan Aviram got their honorable mention this week's Parasha again. And if you look back in Parasha's Shmois, when Moshe Rabbeinu had his encounter with Dasan Aviram, so now Moshe Rabbeinu says, Achei noida dover. This is what his encounter with Dasan Aviram, when they now told Moshe, oh, yeah, that's a hello again, you killed that fellow yesterday. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, Achei noida dover. Now I know, and Rashi says, I can understand why such a people, Klal Yisrael, out of all the Messiahs should be in Golus. Now I get it, because Dalturia, the people who go along, and they go along and they told Paroi about Moshe Rabbeinu. Interestingly, this is before they told Paroi, Rashi says it out. When they were telling him about what they saw, Moshe Rabbeinu already sensed, these are Dalturim. And therefore that's now I understand why they're in Golus. How old is Moshe Rabbeinu at this moment of his time? 13? He had to escape his God for another 67 years until he came back. And he understood the Siba of the Golus is because of the Dalturim. How many people are these Dalturim that we're talking about? Plus Aviram, 2 people. Klal Yisrael's in Golus because of 2 people. We know Das Aviram's reputation, but nevertheless the whole Klal Yisrael's in Golus. Now, 4/5 of the Jews died in Makkah's Chosh. And the question is why they didn't. Okay, that's a different parasha for right now, but you see that 4/5 apparently didn't hold back the Gula because they died anyway. But you see that I think the important note is how and they repeatedly did things. Nasa Aviram, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, so you people test me so many times. They left out the man. How many people? 2 people out of 3 million people did something wrong? Oh, Klal Yisrael's in trouble. You see the godless of Klal Yisrael. It means the greatness of what one person can achieve, what a person can, any person can't minimize what he is. Because Fakert, you see this week's parasha again, by the Noshim, says Rashi, they didn't die in the Midbar, because they loved Eretz Yisrael. How do you know the Noshim loved Eretz Yisrael? Because it says, but nice love, God came along and said, we also want a chelik in Eretz Yisrael. Oh, the Noshim love Eretz Yisrael. How many people were these Noshim? 5 women. Oh, it's a raya. The Nashim love Eretz Yisrael. You see the amazing thing, right to the same thing. That you can have a Nakuda of a few people and they represent Klal Yisrael. That means these 5 people from their Avos, Eretz Yisrael, is a simon, and they can show the Ava of Klal Yisrael, the women that they were Zoichet to have Eretz Yisrael, they didn't complain about Eretz Yisrael like the men did. Only brought was 5 ladies. But that shows again the Kayach of the individual. Torah seems to show us that a person can never minimize who he is, what his kayach is, what a person can accomplish. It's times is also now in the 3 weeks also in this man of Golus. Imagine if we could also be mechabev as Eretz Yisrael, meaning to say that if we would come to realize that what the Golus means for us today, we had recently spoke about this idea about how do we view Golus? Because Baruch Hu blessed us with a tremendous opportunity in Golus here to be living in a free land. Okay, in Nebuch we hear Tsaris and we hear about the anti-Semitism that's growing, but on the day-to-day living, a person seems to be living in the Golus that seems to be ganz comfortable. It's So in a way, how do we make ourselves become aware of the Golus? And it's the 3 weeks. The person has to start thinking that this is. I remember many years ago there was a newspaper that had an ad in the paper. It said the 3 weeks are coming. Oh, so we have to be Messiah. And they said, come get the best cheesecake in Brooklyn. That's what the 3 weeks represented. Rahman al-Islam. It became something that people are not aware of. Or the 9 days, people are worried about what you're going to eat. So there's advertisements in the papers. Don't worry about it. Appetite will supply everything to make it that Khalili, you shouldn't have to feel like you're missing inflation. I mean, that's some people's concept of 9 days. It's a terrible time because we can't have fleshig, we have different deprived, but the purpose is why we can't have fleshig. There's a reason for it. And the person has to be able to get to the Siba and to understand what we're blessed, that we have a Golus that we live in that feels like we're living in a comfortable situation. In the day-to-day living, how can we experience Golus? So one of the things we talked about was having the recognition that we had the measles outbreak in Detroit recently, and again, if a person would start to think, Hakadosh Baruch Hu is macheyu maseh, the Gemara says. Hakadosh Baruch Hu brings sickness. Hakadosh Baruch Hu heals the sick. So, what's the purpose of the sick that a person has? It comes to sicknesses, everything's in the Shemayim, except it's related to cold, heat. So measles is not cold and heat. It apparently comes from the Shemayim. So it would do to be thinking, contemplating, why did this happen? Like the Rambam says, a tzara comes, tzayakim, we cry out to Hashem, we have an issue. Well, what's the reason? You can't say it's mikra, you can't say it's coincidence. It's like something that at least we should be thinking along the lines of, why does Hashem do this? Yes, everybody became alarmed, and we all went to get vaccines, and everybody was into the hype, which is, medically speaking, a person has to do what he has to do. But Haladoverhood, that was interesting. It hit from community, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, boom. So it's something that at least that much should be on the person's mind. The Ramban says in the Vayikra, he says, "Sati mishkani b'soichem." I'm going to put my mishkan amongst you. That means that Klal Yisrael will live with Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And he says, if somebody was sick in the good old days, he didn't go to a doctor. He went to the Navi to find out, why am I sick? Well, what's a Jewish person going to do with the doctor? Rabbi, isn't it just the right for the rabbi? He said, doctor has permission if someone comes to him to heal. But the Ramban says, who said you have permission to go to the doctor in the first place? Paiskim say that, yes, of course, we have to go nowadays. We're not holding at that level. But a Yid's level was with the Bnei Shalom. Why is this happening? So in this situation, did we ask the question, why did Hashem do this? Did it enter our mind to ask? At first, we're not Nevi'im. We may not know the answers, but we have to ask the question. I heard a tape from Rabbi Yitzchak Sorotsky, he spoke in Laker, a different Sarah Rahman al-Islam, and he said this point that he bavtem as Tayrasi v'lachi kisem as gulasi. It's a psikta. That you love my Torah, but you didn't seek v'lachi kisem as malchusi. You didn't anticipate my malchus. Are we holding by anticipating? Yes, we want to learn Torah, we want to do Avodas Hashem, Chazdei Hashem Yisbarach. We can do so much today with the Moises, with the Yeshivas, with the Koilelim, with Shiurim. But is the feeling of pain that Hakadosh Baruch Hu's Malchus is not being kept, it's not being aroused? Is it something that's on our mind that we're worried about? Hakadosh Baruch Hu's Melech. I mean, we said over a story, a Yid, rich man who had children, he sent them out to earn their own way in life. So 2 sons ended up in the same city. One became very successful, and one did not. One was very destitute. And when the father engaged, his engagement, his youngest daughter, he wanted to impress them Chotanim very much. So he communicated with his son that's rich. He said, look, I want you to come to the Chasana and spare no expenses. Anything you do in my honor, I'm going to reimburse you for. And tell your brother that too. Anyway, he got so excited that he went and he got the Sheitel Macha appointments and he got tailors and he got the first class tickets. He had to come groomed and presented. The father wants to impress him. He got so excited in the preparations, and then the day before the wedding, the trip, he remembers, I forgot to tell my brother. He runs to his brother. He tells him, Daddy said we're going to make this chasna and all expenses made, and his son is going to pay us back for us. So, chasna tomorrow night. So what am I supposed to do now? His wife didn't have a sheitel. She had a mop, maybe whatever you call it. The kids had holes in their pants. Today that's considered in style. But she had the rags and who knows what, and they had to get tickets. They got coach tickets. The mice, what could they do already? Kids are mice, and the next day the father goes to greet his children. Well, the first son comes off with his kids, he's looking spiffy, beautiful. Gewaltig, and the father's beaming with pride. Look at my children. And this is my grandchildren. He's showing off to Mechutanim. And he says, so where's your brother? He says, oh, he's coming soon. When he comes up, and he looks disheveled and unkempt, and the kids there, but you see the toe sticking out of the shoes, and he's humiliated. He's embarrassed. He said, this is my other son, and this is my grandchildren. Well, anyway, festivities had to continue to the wedding went, and the Sheva Brachos of the week went by. Then the son comes to his father, says, Daddy, we're leaving. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. And by the way, here are the receipts. It's still $25,000 for all the expenses. He said, oh, have a nice trip. Thanks for coming. He said, but Daddy, here's the receipts. He said, yeah, thanks for coming. Sei gesund. So, but Daddy said you're going to pay for it. He says, I never said I'm going to pay for it. He says, yeah, you said you're going to pay for all expenses that are made on your honor. I said, yes, I did say that. What's made in my honor, I'm going to pay for. But those are the key words. My honor. He says, you did it in your honor. He said, no, if you would have done it in my honor, you would have told your brother about it too. And then he would have come looking nice, presentable, the children. That wasn't my honor. Your honor. I didn't say I'm paying for your honor. Klal Yisrael also today, Baruch Hashem, wherever level, the Avodas Hashem, we find ourselves holding by, Gewaldig, we come and we feel the Kibbas Elikim Li Toiv. But what about the person that's not on my level? Does it hurt me that another Yid is not having the awareness of being with Hashem, and about the millions and millions of Yidden, Acheinu B'nai Yisrael, who don't even know about Hashem, don't know about Avraham Avinu, they don't know nothing. It's Kosh Baruch Hu's Kinderlach. Does it pain me, a drop? Does it hurt? Is it anguish? Do I think about it? Malchus Hashem. How many Yidden? I heard a Maisa in Eretz Yisrael now. I was there, and my cousin told me he hosted two Bachrim, two boys, at his table for Shabbos. Someone asked him if he could host these boys. One comes from the center of Eretz Yisrael. One comes 20 minutes, I forgot the names of the places, 20 minutes from Tveria. And these people grew up in Eretz Yisrael, and they know nothing about Yiddishkeit. Zero. It's Haflo Fella. They're living in Eretz Yisrael, and they know nothing about it. Why did they come for the Shabbos? Because apparently the mother was divorced, and she encouraged them to go on this trip wherever they were going. And these people live in Eretz Yisrael, and they know zero about anything about Yiddishkeit. It's mind-boggling. There's a two Yidden living in Eretz Yisrael, and they have zero knowledge, zero of anything Yiddishkeit. It's the first time they experienced the Shabbos. And my cousin told me his kids were looking at them because their faces were so taken by everything taking place at the Shabbos table. And then they said to my cousin, you know, we thought you Haredi guys are dangerous people. That's what we're told. And they're the most idle people. And they were in shock, surprise, awe. And this is taking place at a Shabbos table in Eretz Yisrael. Imagine if we would open up our tables, our hearts to Acheinu B'nai Yisrael. This is in Eretz Yisrael, B'chol Tvutzos Ha'aretz, these are Kosh Baruch Hu's Kinderlach. And we're living in the situation, the Shalom Alay Nafshi, everything is good. I'd come to do my davening. If I do, I'll have kavanah. I don't have kavanah. And we live in the world. I opened up an article last week, and there's reading, I don't remember, some paper someone showed me. Anyway, the article was about the political idea of Trump. Can he win the next election? And he's giving a whole analysis about how he won the last election. Because he appealed to this type of people and the other type of people, so he can still appeal to these people and the other people, and there's still a chance he can win the next election. And there's not one word about the Rebbeinu Shalom. The whole thing, the whole article, there's a front Torah newspaper, and the guy's giving his whole synopsis, and Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't play a role in any of this. Nothing. He has to give a clear political understanding of how it worked. Even Trump, I believe, is the one who said, President Trump, someone asked him that night he won the elections, how'd you win? He said, God. Versteht. That's the only way he could win. If we look with our own eyes, we'd see that too. It's a blessing that because Baruch Hu put such a person there who stands up for Klal Yisrael. We have to appreciate that. It's a Pinchas who does it. At next elections, maybe you won't have next elections. Maybe Mashiach will be the next elected by Kodesh Baruch Hu to be the one who made the Melech Mashiach. If we would yearn him, if we would want him. Someone said they asked Chaim Kanievsky, a nephew, I think, asked him, where's Mashiach? He's talking about him all the time. He says, a chashva guest comes. He doesn't walk into your house. You open the door for him. bring him in. You have to anticipate him. You don't want him. You have to have a chakei loy. And we have a lot of reasons why Chazal gave us simanim of gula of chakei loy. Chazal tell us chakei loy. Anticipate him. Look for him. If Chatzkel Levenstein used to try and get a newspaper to see a siman legula, maybe it's coming. If a person anticipates, he yearns for it, he changes the way he thinks. Then he starts thinking about Malchus Shemayim, the Baruch Shalom's Malchus. This is from newspaper, no mention of the Baruch Shalom in the political scene. Well, how can we live and learn and understand? Yes, Hashem makes things work in the Tevadika way, so to say, it appears. But the analysis is, at least, should have Akara, because Baruch made it happen this way. If there's a chance to win the next election, it's up to the Rebbeinu Shalom if he's going to win the next election. Not up to politics and other lumdis. Yes, we want to give some political analysis, etc. Okay, but let's makir first the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's like when the measles came, I told somebody about the Rebbeinu Shalom. He says, vaccine first, Hashem number two. No, he got it wrong. Hashem's number one, vaccines are number two. You have to have the proper perspective of where we have to do whatever we do. The Shvat Malav Sheseicha, agreed. Whatever it might have to be, whatever a person has to do according to his posik, according to halacha, medicine, whatever it may be. But the underlying concept, that's galus. If we don't even recognize that day-to-day living is dependent on the Rebbeinu Shalom, that's the biggest galus possible. So you can live a life, we said a famous story, of a fellow who came to his Rosh Hashiva. They dreamt about the Rebbeinu Shalom last night. What does that mean? And he says, well, the person dreams about what he thinks about. So the guy said, well, yesterday at David Shachris, I learned in the morning, I had Mincha, learned in the afternoon, Ma'ariv, I had supper benched. I didn't think about the Rebbeinu Shalom yesterday. So that is what the Pasuk says in Navi. Rav Gifti used to say this over, but from the Navi, it becomes routine. It just becomes the way we live. That's also goes. If a person can go through the road, he can go through the motions and not connect. He's talking to Hashem, not realize he's talking about Hashem. It just goes. But that's part of the goals. That's our challenge. And that's what we have to recognize is that if we at least understand what the in goal is, to have first the hakara that it's golus, and that connection is to Rebbeinu Shalom, to be a home, to where we really belong. In the Beis Hamikdash, a house, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's home. Hashem doesn't have a house. His house is in shambles. His house is populated by others. And even the Kaisel, the last remaining wall that's there for the Kedusha, is under threat. People want to undermine the Kedusha of the Kaisel Maravi, which we take for granted, is the Kedusha's Hamakan. But it has to give us terrible apivas that we should have for this one wall, should be all other walls. This is the story of Mordechai Schwab. When he went to Israel, so the first time, so his son asked him, do you want to go to the Kaisel today? He said, no, I'm not ready. They asked him, the next day, you want to go to the Kaisel? No, I'm not ready. A whole week went by. Finally he said, no. I said, I'm ready now. I took him to the Kaisel, and the first time he saw the Kaisel, Sinas Chinam! He points his finger. Sinas Chinam. One wall is up. Are we happy with one wall? One wall's there because we have Sinas Chinam. That's why it's only one wall. Imagine we have Avas Chinam, bring back Klal Yisrael. We can have all four walls up. It's not just to go a photo up by the Kaisel. We want four walls to be up, not just one. That was, he saw the Churban, he saw the Kaisel. The Rosh help us that we should be zoich, that the 3 weeks should be that of becoming the scarvers, to use it to properly, that we should be zoich to have the Gula Shalema.